Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cruising with Matthew. In this video, I'm going to share some hints and tips about Virgin Voyages Resilient Lady to help you make the most of your time on board. So, I really hope you enjoy this video. Before I start, I just want to highlight that this cruise was kindly gifted to me by Virgin Voyages in June 2023. As a result, you'll see a paid promotion flag on this video. However, I haven't been paid to portray Virgin in a particular way. Instead, you'll get my usual honest opinion about what I enjoyed and what can be improved. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. Number 1. Virgin isn't just for the party crowd. Now, I'll be honest, I was quite nervous going on Resilient Lady as I wasn't sure that Virgin was going to be for me. For the most part, I'm quite a quiet person and don't really like high energy party events, hence why we sail on more traditional cruise lines. Therefore, I was a little concerned that there wouldn't be much to do if partying was the primary focus on board. However, I was pleasantly surprised as to how rich and varied the events were on board, with options to suit everyone. This includes a comprehensive range of wellness options to enjoy, and features things like fitness classes, yoga, and several fully kitted out workout spaces. If you're wanting a bit of pampering, you can head down to the Redemption Spa to take advantage of their numerous treatment options. However, my recommendation is to try out their thermal spa, as we loved our time here during our trip. There's also an incredibly diverse entertainment program, with the standard of their shows being some of the best I've ever seen on land or at sea. They do feature several club nights, but honestly, even if you don't like the party scene, it's good fun to go to the start of these events, as you'll see the Happenings cast perform a great dance routine to kick the event off. Elsewhere on the ship, you can head to On the Rocks to enjoy some chilled drinks whilst listening to a talented band or a cabaret performance. If you fancy a games night, then there's the Social Club, which is packed full of well-loved board and arcade games. You could also try your luck in the onboard casino, or if you just want to get away from it all, you can sit back and relax in your cabin and watch the world pass you by. I also just have to mention how incredibly warm and friendly the crew were, as they do a great job at making everyone feel happy and welcome. Simply come as you are, ready to enjoy the cruise, and you'll do just fine. Number 2. Catch performances by the Happenings cast throughout the ship. Now, the Happenings cast is part of the entertainment team on board Resilient Lady, with the aim of splitting the traditional cruise director role into 12 individuals. This includes the diva, your resident drag queen on board, as well as the foodie, the gamer, and many more. Together, the Happenings cast really acts as the heart and soul of the ship. You'll come across them during practically every ship-based activity during your cruise, ranging from salty trivia to Zumba and even interactive art sessions. However, I just wanted to highlight some truly fabulous performances by them, which we really enjoyed. This is in addition to headline events like Scarlet Night, as well as the initial sail-away party, Let's Set Sail, which are also must-sees. First up is the Diva's solo performance in the Manor, which for our cruise was called Around the World, although this has since been changed to Diva Fever. This was absolutely hilarious, with our diva, Miss Titicaca, giving a chaotic and utterly fabulous performance. If Diva Fever matches even half of the energy of Around the World, you'll have an incredible time, as my sides were actually hurting from all the laughter during this show. I'd also recommend seeing the hostess's solo performance, which is typically held in the Manor. On our cruise, this was The Hostess Sings Her Secrets, which was so much fun, and we loved seeing Abby the hostess strut her stuff as she performed a great range of songs in an almost postmodern jukebox style. Do note this has been changed to Love 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 by the hostess, but I'm sure it's just as impressive. Another highlight for us were the cabaret performances held in On the Rocks. These give you the chance to enjoy stripped back and more intimate performances by members of the entertainments team. This includes performances by the diva, the hostess, as well as people like Lola from Lola's Library. This is just a smattering of the events held by the Happenings cast, so I'd make sure you keep an eye out for their events during your cruise, as there'll certainly be something to suit you. Number 3. Try all the evening dining venues on board. One of the standout features to Virgin Voyages is the fact that most of the dining options are included in your fare. Therefore, I'd highly recommend taking advantage of this to the fullest during your cruise and trying each venue at least once if you're on a long enough cruise. Each restaurant offers a completely different dining experience, so it's well worth doing this even if it offers something you've never had before. It's included in your fare, so why not give it a go? The first of which is Razzle Dazzle, a spectacularly designed venue inspired by the dazzle pattern employed by Allied shipping to evade U-boat attacks in World War I. It focuses largely on offering a variety of plant-based and vegetarian dishes. If you're fancying something a bit meatier, they also offer corresponding meat and fish alternatives, so you've got plenty of choice here. Next up is Pink Agave, Resilient Lady's Mexican restaurant. Now, we don't tend to eat Mexican, so I wasn't too sure what to expect, yet we were blown away by the tasty food and exceptional service here. In terms of starters, you can try a variety of small and medium plates. However, it was suggested to us by our waiter to give all of them a go, and I'm so glad that we did. There's also a great variety of main and dessert options here too, and I'd have happily dined here multiple times if I'd been on a longer cruise. The Wake is one of the most iconic venues on board a Virgin Voyages ship and is perfect for lovers of steak and seafood. I'd argue this is probably one of the more formal venues on board, as the whole dining experience just feels really special and sophisticated. It's certainly somewhere you'll want to visit on an empty stomach, as the portion sizes are generous and you'll want to enjoy a number of side dishes alongside your main course. Do make sure to leave some room for dessert though, as the Wake dessert that I had tasted incredible. Test Kitchen is probably the most unique restaurant on board and shaped up to be my favourite meal of the whole cruise. Designed as a laboratory, this restaurant offers such a fun and playful menu where the only thing you know you're going to have is the main ingredient. It's unlike anything I've experienced before, and I loved being surprised as each dish was placed in front of me. The staff also do a great job at explaining how the system works, whilst also being so friendly and attentive throughout. So it's a must visit in my opinion. Extra Virgin specialises in Italian food and is another venue where a light lunch is much needed beforehand. This features a 5-course feast of tasty dishes including antipasti, steaks and pastas, which all tasted amazing. The venue is also really cosy and had such a nice atmosphere when we dined here. We did have issues with them coping with Yean's dairy intolerance, despite us trying to pre-order the day before, and this unfortunately delayed our meal significantly and we missed dessert. However, I do hope I can give this restaurant another go on a future cruise to see if these issues have been resolved. Finally, there's Gunbae, which is a Korean barbecue restaurant. It has a really fun and sociable atmosphere as you're seated largely in groups of 6, so unless you're travelling in a large group, it's quite likely that you're going to be sat with fellow sailors. I was a little nervous about this, but our server was fantastic and did a great job at breaking the ice with a Korean drinking game, and we ended up chatting throughout the whole evening. The dining experience is also quite unique, as you enjoy a variety of small plates like noodles and stews, which acts as your starter. However, the main course is a Korean barbecue that is cooked right in front of you by your friendly server. Offering a selection of veggie, meat or seafood options, you can always mix and match if you so wish. Although it's a fairly simple main course, the food tasted fantastic, especially with the variety of dips that were given with the meal. Despite my initial nerves about being on a shared table, the meal became another favourite of ours on our cruise, so make sure you give it a go and don't be put off by its interactive nature. As you can see, these evening venues are really varied, so I'd recommend giving each of these a go during your cruise. Number 4. Make the most of Scarlet Night. This has to be one of the most eagerly anticipated events on board any Virgin voyage, and I had no idea what to expect as we got ready for that evening. I won't go into too much detail as I think it's best you experience it firsthand, but I'll give you a few hints and tips so you can make the most of it. Firstly, I'd recommend you pack something red for Scarlet Night. If you want to absolutely go for it and be dressed up to the nines, you're more than welcome to do that, but it's only a fun suggestion and won't ruin your experience by any stretch if you forget anything. Next, I'd recommend having your evening meal as early as possible so you can be ready for the evening festivities. If you've never experienced Scarlet Night, I'd look out for The Myth of Scarlet Night, as a member of the Happenings cast will retell the lore of the evening, giving you some backstory to key characters like the Octopus Goddess and much more. The main event kicks off at 9 PM in the roundabout, which is Resilient Lady's atrium. Now, I'd recommend getting there a bit before 9 PM so you can make sure you can grab a good spot. What happens next is a bit of a blur, as there is so much going on over decks 6 and 7. There's complex dance routines, sea shanties and gymnastics going on in every direction, so you won't know where to look. A true must-see, in my opinion though, is a visit to the Red Room, which is transformed into the Octopus Garden and plays host to the Octopus Goddess herself. We absolutely loved this event and found it to be utterly captivating. Now the evening culminates in Virgin's very own pool party. Sadly, on our cruise the weather wasn't all that great, so we were moved down into the Red Room. However, it didn't dampen the fun by any stretch, and we loved watching all the song and dance routines. If you prefer, you can just enjoy some more relaxed activities like sitting back and listening to some chilled music in On the Rocks and the Dock House, and we really enjoyed doing this once we'd had enough of the party in the manor. Another thing I loved was the fact that the whole ship gets decked out for it. You'll see tentacles in the roundabout atrium, fish floating in the social club, and the flipping of every light that is possible to the colour red. The wake of the ship itself even turns red. There's such a dedication to Scarlet Night that you can't help but let yourself get carried away by the evening's entertainment. And it's such a fun and wacky evening that is unlike anything I've seen before on a cruise ship, and I absolutely loved it. Number 5. See all of the headliner shows on board. As you can tell, entertainment is one of the real highlights of Resilient Lady, and although there's so much going on during your cruise, I'd recommend keeping some space free for the incredible headliner shows that are held in the Red Room. Each of these is just as varied and unique as the next, and perfectly showcases the talent of the entertainment teams on board. These include Mind Mangler, member of the Tragic Circle. Made by the same people who put together The Play That Goes Wrong, it's an utterly hilarious, farcical, magical show with well-timed jokes and a heartwarming ending. Things never quite go the way you expect, but it's all part of the fun, and we really enjoyed this. Next is the Misbehave show. It's quite hard to explain what goes on in this game show apart from saying it's utter chaos in the best way, and I loved its heartwarming overarching message at the end, So all I'd say is just arrive with an open mind and go with the flow. Finally, there's Persephone. It's a true spectacle, featuring some of the best song, dance and acrobatic routines I have ever seen. If you're able to, I'd recommend being on the lower level, which is standing room only. The reason I say this is that you feel so immersed in the performance, and the cast do a great job at interacting with you in a really relaxed way. Number 6. Make the most of the promenade. One feature that I really like about Resilient Lady is the fact that she features a fully wraparound promenade deck. As a result, we loved doing a few laps each day, especially when we were at sea. Sadly, a good portion of this deck is obscured by Resilient Lady's lifeboats and tenders, but Virgin has done a good job at utilising the remaining space. This includes the stunning dock, which offers plenty of comfy sofas and some not so comfy seats, although these all offer some incredible wake views. All the while you're not too far away from being able to order your favourite drink from the nearby bar. Plus, you can grab a few bites to eat from their roving meze cart, which was a lovely touch. If you prefer just taking in the views though, there's also a small section of open deck next to some life raft apparatus, which gives you a great side-on view of the ship, which we always appreciated. Midships, there's a few oversized sofas and sunbeds here, which was always a popular spot with sailors, although it was a massive shame that there were these tall plexiglass screens in this area, as it did obstruct the view somewhat. However, I'm sure that's due to health and safety. Now, our favourite spot on the promenade, however, was right at the front of the ship, as you got another opportunity to look down the side of the ship, as well as being able to see Resilient Lady's bow cut through the waves. It didn't seem all that well known during our trip, but I definitely recommend seeking this area out, especially if you have some scenic cruising, like when we left the Bay of Kotor. Number 7. See Lola's Library. Unique to Resilient Lady is Lola's Library, which is held in the Manor as opposed to the Red Room, which is where the larger headline shows are held. As a result, it gives off more an intimate cabaret vibe, which suits this show perfectly. Hosted by the enigmatic Lola, alongside her assistant Dewey and maid Mary, you're taken on a literary journey through fairy tales, sci-fi, murder mystery, and some more, risque stories. The number of routines that they chop and change through is just incredible, shifting from light-hearted comedy one moment to intense dance routines the next. Getting here early is an absolute must, as you'll want to get a seat with a great view. Do note that there is some audience participation, but they won't ever be pushy if you're terrified at the prospect, like I am. Originally spanning 3 hours on our cruise with various breaks, this has now been shortened to a 1 hour and 15-minute show with some adjustments made to the overall performance, but I'm sure it's still an incredible experience. Number 8. Check out all the casual dining venues on board. The largest of these is the galley, which is Virgin's alternative to a buffet, offering a variety of food stall type stations featuring some of the best food puns I've ever seen on a cruise ship. It's a fabulous venue and allows you to enjoy a range of food like an all-day breakfast, salads, burgers, paninis, and of course my favourite, noodles. Most of the food is served to you by waiters after scanning a QR code and is made fresh to order, so the food always tasted amazing. The desserts at the sweet side are another must try, and I had to make sure I paced myself throughout the cruise as there were so many tempting sweet treats on offer. Another fabulous venue is the nearby Sun Club Cafe, which is located close to Resilient Lady's sun and pool decks. As we tended to have lunch in the galley most days, we almost missed out on eating here, so make sure you keep an eye out for it on your cruise. Here you can choose a selection of tasty poke bowls, as well as bao buns with your choice of fillings. They both tasted really good and was something a little different to what I'd usually have, so I'd recommend giving these a go. Moving down to Deck 7, you encounter the fantastically named Lick Me Till Ice Cream, which serves a great variety of tasty ice creams and sorbets in a multitude of cones, as well as tubs if you so wish. I just couldn't get over the fact these were included in your fare, so I had to try a number of these, for research purposes of course. Nearby, there's also the pizza place, which serves, shockingly, pizza. Although we only had chance to try a few of these, we were blown away by the quality and thought it tasted so good. There was a great selection of high quality toppings on offer here, and it was so nice that they had vegan cheese here too, so Yeon could enjoy a dairy-free pizza. Moving aft, you'll find the Social Club, which is a fabulous place to relax with your fellow sailors thanks to their plethora of board and arcade games, as well as some sports screens if you prefer. What makes this space even better though is the fact that you can enjoy a range of included food like hot dogs, pretzels and chicken wings, although we sadly never got chance to try them during this cruise. What we did get chance to try though was a number of their tasty treats from their sweets counter, and we loved having a few of these whilst playing a quick game of Jenga or exploding kittens. Nearby there's the Grounds Club, and although this focuses mainly on extra charge hot and cold drinks, if you prefer, you can always pop here to enjoy a pastry or some cookies, and I love the fact that these change throughout the day. Moving to the very back of Deck 7 and returning to the fabulous dock and dockhouse, you can also enjoy a number of tasty bites whilst relaxing to those wake views or listening to the various live music performances playing inside the dockhouse itself. This included things like grilled shrimp and octopus, as well as hanger steak skewers, which tasted absolutely incredible, and I was really impressed with the quality, especially considering it's being delivered to you whilst you're lounging on a sunbed. Therefore, I'd highly recommend trying each of these venues during your cruise, as there are just so many different and tasty options to choose from. Number 9. Try brunch at Razzle Dazzle and The Wake. Now, on our cruise, it seemed that lots of people tended to choose the galley for their breakfast or brunch options, and I can't blame them, as the galley has so many tasty options to choose from. As good as these options are, however, if time allows, I'd recommend trying the brunch options at Razzle Dazzle and The Wake, as they didn't seem that well known amongst our fellow sailors. In terms of Razzle Dazzle, like their dinner options, you can enjoy a variety of vegan and veggie options, which I really enjoyed. If you prefer, you can enjoy a handful of naughty meat-based dishes too. Brunch here consists of up to 3 courses, and they did a great job at setting us up for a busy day of exploring a port. Do make sure that you try some of their sides, as their apple cruffin tasted incredible. The Wake felt that little bit more fancy in my opinion, and I loved their sophisticated brunch menu. This included a great selection of lighter starters, eggs benedicts, as well as other tasty main courses like their steak and eggs. The desserts are another favourite of mine, with their crepe cake and apple tartine being a tasty and thankfully light way to end your meal. Razzle Dazzle and The Wake's brunch options offer a great alternative to breakfast and or lunch if you're wanting to switch it up with the other venues on board. If you're on a shorter cruise and you're not able to eat in either of these venues, then it's a great way to get a taste of what The Wake and Razzle Dazzle offers. Number 10. Try Another Rose. One of the few extra charge dining and entertainment options on board Resilient Lady is Another Rose. This gives you the chance to enjoy a separate dinner and a show in the manor, and costs £50 per person irrespective of where you sit. Now there are 3 different seating options available to you, with Tier 1 being in the centre of the manor's lower level and is closest to the action. Tier 2 is on the periphery of the lower level, whilst Tier 3 is looking down on the action from the manor's upper floor. Do note that if you sit in the first tier like we did, your table is essentially part of the stage. This is a double-edged sword, as you get to feel completely immersed in the performance as you get some of the best seats in the house. However, you will have to be moved halfway through the show as they reset the stage, and at one point you will need to hold on to your glasses as some of the cast will literally start dancing on your table. It's all planned perfectly though, and I would happily go in these seats again. The price of this event includes a 3-course set meal along with alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks if you prefer. These include a welcome cocktail, free-flowing rosé, as well as several drinks that fit into the story itself. Overall, we were really impressed with the food here, as it felt quite distinct from the other dining venues on board, and all the food tasted amazing. The show itself is unlike anything on board Resilient Lady, and does a great job at merging aerial performances, belting vocals, and everything in between. Loosely based off Romeo and Juliet, the show definitely goes in some directions that I wasn't quite expecting, and was quite the emotional roller coaster. It does a great job at leaving you feel empowered and in a really good mood. No mean feat, considering this show is based off a Shakespearean tragedy. So there you have it, my top 10 hints and tips for Virgin Voyages Resilient Lady, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I can't recommend a cruise on Virgin enough, as they offer incredible food and entertainment in a fantastically unique way that only Virgin could pull off. A massive thank you to Virgin Voyages for gifting me this incredible cruise, and Michelle in particular for all her help. If you want to know more about cruising with Matthew, then check out my other social media channels, the link is in the description below. I hope you're all doing well at the moment, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. So until next time, this is Cruising with Matthew, and thank you so much for watching.